fuck is up, Internet? I'm that dude, Swainzilla, aka old guy with too much time on his hands, coming at you from the man cave, and this is Tier List. I get a kick out of watching tier list videos, so I figured it'd be fun if I made my own. And don't get it twisted, my lists are the definitive lists. You can disagree with my placings all you want, but then you're just admitting you're wrong. In this installment, I'll be tier listing 61 candies. I like to hide our participants until they're chosen, just to keep you on your toes. I'll start by ranking the candies I've never tried by my interest in trying them. For example, of the candies I've never tried, I'd want to try cookie dough here. Just because I really like the ice cream. That was my first thought. It's probably not as good as the ice cream, but it's probably still pretty good. We got these Razzles. They just look like fruity hard candy. And I like that in general, so I would go with those as my number 2 most intriguing of candies I haven't tried. We'll go with Gushers, just because I've heard good things about Gushers in general, mainly just because they're well known. But I am concerned about the gushing, and so that concerns me. The only other one on this list that I've never tried is Laffy Taffy. And Laffy Taffy, yeah, I mean, it sounds good. I'm not going to turn it down. It's candy. Let's get into some, where do you want to go? Let's go with some nostalgic candy off the bat. Let's go with bubble tape. And I'm going to put bubble tape at A right now, just nostalgia's sake. I mean, was there nothing cooler than whipping out your fucking bubble tape and just fucking ripping a strip? Like, dude, you felt like you had endless gum. It seemed like there was so much fucking gum in bubble tape. Like, and you just could fucking rip out, you could fucking put a gob of gum in your hand without having to unwrap a bunch of fucking gum. It was like legit. And it was like, it tasted like fucking what you would expect bubble gum to taste like. Bubble gum. Like, they didn't have all these crazy flavors. It was just like, look, this is bubble gum and there's a bunch of it. Eat it all if you want in one fucking mouthful. Motherfuckers would try. That's for sure. Motherfuckers would try. Let's go another nostalgic candy, but like lower tier. Let's go B tier. Let's go fucking Fireballs, right? Like Fireballs, it's just cinnamon candy. I mean, now we're doing, yeah, I'm calling them Fireballs. They're hot balls, but they're like Fireball. Now we drink shots of that shit. Cinnamon, that's just some shit we still fucking consume as adults. B tier candy, for sure. Fireballs. You want to know what an S tier candy is? Speaking of like nostalgic banging, let's go fucking Jolly Ranchers. Jolly Ranchers is S tier candy, dude. Dude, I remember growing up, I would fucking go into the Minute Mart on my way to school, and I would 5-finger discount Jolly Ranchers by the handful. They came in like long fucking packs, like Halls packs back in the day, and like the skin would be peeling on the inside of my fucking mouth from sucking on those fucking things all day. I just love fucking Jolly Ranchers. Sour apple Jolly Ranchers, top 5 flavors of all time. That's where I'm at with Jolly Ranchers. They're definitely S tier. Let's talk about these fucking wax soda pop bottle things. They're C tier, man. A lot of these like old school fucking candies, I mean, it's not their fault. It's just that they were the groundbreakers. Like, like these were legit for when they came out. But I mean, it's just fucking sugar and wax. I mean, we've evolved past them. You know what I mean? But they're still good. You'd still fuck with those. If somebody was like, hey man, I got these fucking wax soda bottles from back in the day, you want a handful? You would fuck those up. I would. For sure. And another candy that would happen with, that's kind of low tier, gummy bears. I'm putting gummy bears ahead of the wax soda bottles, though. Gummy bears, too, man. I would fuck gummy bears up. But gummy bears aren't that great. They're pretty bland. They're good. Fuck yeah, they're good. But there's no razzle dazzle there. You know what I mean? The razzle dazzle is they're shaped like a fucking bear. That's it. They're still pretty good though. Jesus Christ. I don't even know where to go with this. Let's go Swedish Fish. Swedish Fish. Swedish Fish is that's A tier. Swedish Fish. It's above Bubble Tape, barely. But it's because it's just got like, it's like gummy shit. It's not, it's like the gummy bears, but like the flavor is distinctly Swedish Fish. Like it's got its own thing going, that's for sure. So it's got like, like another one. It's been Lifesavers. That's an A tier candy. We're gonna put it behind Bubble Tape. There's a lot of imitators of Lifesavers out there, boys and girls. But none of them got it nailed down quite like Lifesavers. Like hard candy, like fruit flavored and stuff. Lifesavers does it better than anybody. And everybody's tried to do it. There's a million fucking copycats. But their shit is just legit. It's classic. Another thing that's classic, that's S tier, Snickers. Snickers is S tier. Snickers will always be S tier. Snickers is like, it's got everything, dude. It's got peanuts, it's got chocolate, it's got nougat, it's got caramel, it's got it all. Snickers is legitly S tier. You can hate on it all you want. You know what I mean? Just because it's like a commercial candy bar, like top of the line. It is a Cadillac candy bar, no doubt. It is. It's legit. Snickers, but I would buy Jolly Ranchers before I bought a Snickers. That's just the way it is. A couple classic low ballers. Let's go with a couple. Let's get these out of the way. Mounds and Almond Joy. I don't hate coconut. They're still good. I'd still fuck with them. They're not the bottom. There's candy worse than them. But like just as far as candy bars, I would always buy something else. I've had them and I don't hate them, but I would never buy them over anything else other than the candies that are going to be below them. But these are like the lowest candy bars we got on the list as far as candy bars go. At these motherfuckers. Sour Patch Kids. I love Sour Patch Kids. They're banging. They're like Swedish Fish, but with some kick. I ate like a half a bag. They have a kind that's just strawberry. I bought a bag of them the other night, and I ate like a half a bag of those fucking things in one sitting. They're just like, I crushed them. Under Sour Patch Kids, we got Whoppers. I like Whoppers, man. I feel like they're pretty bland. It's just chocolate with like a wafer ball thing in the middle. But they're like simply good. And I would fuck with them. I would fuck with Sour Patch Kids more than them, but I would fuck with them over Swedish Fish. Another A tier candy is Crunch. I would fuck with Crunch over Swedish Fish, but they're pretty much the same as Whoppers. But I feel like the Whoppers have that, but just because they're individual bites, makes them just a little bit better than the Crunch bar. It's like the same shit. It's like the wafer stuff covered in chocolate. It's like the same flavors, I feel like. But I feel like just because they're in balls and they're separate, it makes Whoppers just a little bit better. Right? I don't know. I feel like these Ring Pops are bottom A. They're like Lifesavers. They're not as good as Lifesavers, but they got their own vibe going. You know what I mean? Just because they're Ring Pops. You know what I mean? So there's some nostalgia because I remember fucking with those when I was a kid. And then under that, actually above Ring Pops, I'd put Hershey Kisses. Classic, just a dollop of chocolate, baby. Simple and good. And like the craftsmanship. I mean, Hershey's, they just know what they're doing. You know what I mean? I've been there. I remember going to Hershey's on a class trip when I was a kid. And me and my buddies got lost. Like some teachers had to stay and find us after the bus left. It was embarrassing. We had to clean out one of the teachers' cars the following day as punishment. But so there's some nostalgia with Hershey's. But Hershey's is classic. Hershey Kisses, classic. But the bar goes above Hershey's. Just a regular candy bar goes above Jolly Ranchers for sure. It's classic, it's good, and there's a lot more of it than a Hershey Kiss. That's what makes it an S tier candy. And I would put fucking Gumdrops. I'd put Gumdrops under Mounds and Almond Joy. I'd also put Peeps under Gumdrops. The Dots from back in the day, I'd put those just above the fucking wax soda bottle things. The Dots from back in the day, they were pretty banging, but they were like a mess. That fucking wrapping would get wet or whatever, and you'd get like paper on the fucking dot and shit. So that was kind of like inconvenient. But I mean, it was just like a fucking dollop of sugar. So you wanted that shit. I mean, the nostalgia of it and the novelty of it being stuck to a piece of paper makes it better than the wax bottle sodas, I think. If you ask me. Speaking of gimmick, the fucking candy cigarettes. Candy cigarettes. I feel like candy cigarettes are better than gummy bears. I feel like they're a little better than gummy bears. They're just like a sugar stick. You know what I mean? And they're like, I don't know, not that there was anything cool with them, but I don't think there was anything bad. There wasn't like anything bad to them. They were pretty mid, which puts them above gummy bears. I don't know. I feel like, and plus there's the nostalgia because they don't have them anymore, I don't think. So there is that nostalgia factor that I do remember them when I was a kid. Another thing when I was a kid, do they still have these? Do they still make Pop Rocks? I'd put those above candy cigarettes, Pop Rocks, just because of the fizz, baby. Put them on your tongue and they would pop and shit, so there was some novelty there. There was some novelty with Dippin' Dots. I'd put those over Pop Rocks. Dippin' Dots, or Fun Dip, yeah, Dippin' Dots. Fun Dip, I'd put those above Pop Rocks. I'd put the candy necklaces above Fun Dip, though. Nostalgia. I remember those the most. I feel like I remember having one of those all the time and just being out in the woods and shit with one of those fucking necklaces on, and every now and then just fucking throwing it in my mouth and sucking on the goddamn candy. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. They're definitely above this other bullshit. Another low tier candy from back in the day. That's got some novelty to it too. Yeah, the straw things are better. They're better than gumdrops, but I probably would fuck with Mounds or Almond Joy over them. But they're nostalgic. There's a gimmick going on there, so I'd still fuck with them. I feel like we cut the B tier off. I feel like bottom B tier. Fucking Warheads, man. I remember those. I feel like those came out when I was a kid, and it was like a big dare to fuck with those. So there's some nostalgia. Same vein of the hot balls, but they're not as timeless. They're not as timeless as the Fireballs, so they're just behind them. Actually, they're not just behind them, because I would put. Speaking of which, I'd put Hot Tamales. I'd put Hot Tamales behind Fireballs because, again, classic, same kind of vibe. These are all like your spicy candy type. You know what I mean? It's like it's candy, but it's like the painful good type. It's like a challenge to eat these fucking things. So yeah, we'll throw those all together in B, and then above Fireball, I'd go with Gobstoppers. Gobstoppers, there's not much really to say about them. They're pretty classic. They're a lot like, I don't know what you would classify them. They got like a hard candy shell, but they're like hard inside too, in a way. I don't know. They're like fruity flavored. They're pretty banging. I'd put those above Fireball because at least they're not like a challenge to eat. So, and I think I would put Twizzlers in that same area. Twizzlers are pretty bland, but they're not like a challenge to eat. So I would put those above our Fireballs. Above Gobstoppers, I think Lemonheads are just a little bit better. Kind of the same thing, but they're a little like... They're specific, and they're pretty good. I like Lemonheads. I feel like I've had them pretty recently. Hard candy, so they're pretty good. Where are you putting some of this stuff? I think I'm going to put Sweet Tarts behind Warheads. Sweet Tarts are pretty good. Nothing too crazy, but they're legit. They're just not as like... They're basic compared to Warheads. Warheads aren't quite as basic as Sweet Tarts. Same vibe. I mean, they're still trying to go with like a sour thing. So we'll go Sweet Tarts underneath Warheads. Let's go under Snickers. Blow Pops. I like Blow Pops, man. I've recently bought Blow Pops. The only problem I have with Blow Pops is that the gum is just a tease. It's just not it. The fucking lollipop itself is banging, and it does feel like you are getting a treat with the gum. But the gum isn't that great. So it's like, it's alright. But they're definitely still S tier because it's the nostalgia factor. I mean, it's the combination. I mean, not many people I don't think there's anything else on here. There's nothing else on here that goes, hey, we're this and this. Oh, no, that's not true. What do you think about that? Tootsie Pops above Blow Pops? I like the lollipop candy for the Blow Pops better. But I love the Tootsie Roll center so much more than I like the gum of the Charms Blow Pop. That it puts it above Jolly Ranchers. Tootsie Pops are legit. They are. And, I mean, the blue ones and the orange ones, dude, I mean, they're all really banging. Even the brown ones are pretty banging. I feel like the Charms ones, I do love the sour apple. I mean, but I got Jolly Ranchers does it just a little bit better. But, man, if there was like, I mean, you couldn't do sour apple and Tootsie Pop. That wouldn't be legitness. But man, that's where we're putting Tootsie Pop. Or that's where we're putting Tootsie Pops. They're right there. Right now, they're second best candy on my list. What are we putting above them? What are we putting above them? Milk Duds? Caramel Baby? Oh my god, caramel. I love me some caramel. Oh, I haven't even begun to talk about caramel. We only touched on it a little bit with Snickers, but Daddy loves some caramel. Milk Duds, I mean, dude, I'll like be like, I can't breathe because the caramels, there's like a caramel buildup because I love those fuckers so much. And they come in those packages, like you get a whole fucking like box full of them for like less than $2. It's amazing how much you get for and I mean it's not on this list, and I would put those above Milk Duds if they were on the list, but they're not because there's more flavors. But I would put Charleston Chews above Milk Duds on this list, but they're not on this list. So, but I would put those above them just a little bit more because there's more flavors. The strawberry chocolate ones are like off the chain. Anyway, but they're not on that list, so I digress. So Milk Duds go above Tootsie Pops. Where would you put your Skittles? I'm putting Skittles B tier. Top of B tier right now. I like Skittles. I like the purple bag is banging. The sour ones I haven't really fucked with. I should buy them, actually. I bought the tropical ones I'm not like into like that. But the purple bag is good. Wild berry or something? Oh yeah. Those things are legit. That's another one. They do like the hard candy combo. I guess there is more like combo candies than I'm giving credit to, but like Skittles are legit. Top of B tier right now. Bottom of B tier, I think I'd put fucking York peppermint patties. I like them. I've got a little nostalgia for them. I feel like I remember growing up, my mom loving the fuck out of those things. So there's that. I remember liking them because she liked them. And they're like, they got a little bite to them. You like the chocolate. I mean the mint. It's a good combo, and I think how it plays off. I wonder how they discovered that, because mint by itself, nothing mixes with it. Like mint with toothpaste, when you brush your teeth and shit, you can't eat anything for like an hour. But for some reason, chocolate works. It's so weird how they figured out that combination, but it works pretty good with York. It's not great, but it's B tier for sure. I would put Heath bars above York peppermint patties just because the toffee is pretty good. I feel like I don't really like that it gets stuck in my teeth. That's the one beef I have with toffee. I think it's tasty as fuck. I do like the consistency of it, but I don't like that it gets stuck in my teeth sometimes. That annoys me. But it's still pretty good. It's still B tier. It's above York peppermint patty. Just under Sweet Tarts, if you ask me. Let's go with these things. Since I've already talked about Whoppers, these are pretty close to them, but they're low tier. They're lower tier. These holiday muff, I don't know, but they're kind of like Whoppers. They're kind of the same vibe, but I kind of just like the all chocolate. These ones feel a little like handmade to me, and maybe like down. I don't know. They're good. I still fuck with them. There's nothing on this fucking list I'd say no to yet. There's a couple of things lower, even below Peeps. Peeps, I'd still fuck with Peeps. I'd fuck with gummy gumdrops. I'd fuck with everything. And even the ones that are below gumdrops or peeps, I'd still fuck with. They're just not. They're just not my favorite. We'll just go. We'll just since we were talking about them. Last place on my list is fucking candy corn. I'd still fuck. It's still good. It's still sugar, but they're like because there's so many of them. They're so abundant. It's almost like there's a cheapness associated with them. Like they're still good. It's almost like ramen noodles. Ramen noodles are so cheap, but they taste good. But because they're so abundant, there's like this cheapness associated with them. It's kind of a bad rap. It's not fair because they are still good. They're just not great. I just like marshmallow a little bit better. The reason I put Peeps this low is because of the fucking sugar coating that's like crunchy. I just don't like that. We talked about them before, but let's talk about fucking Tootsie Pop, Tootsie Rolls. I'm putting Tootsie Rolls below Hershey Kisses. I love Tootsie Rolls, man. I like these. The chocolate ones are banging, but they have like fruity ones too that are really fucking good. I fuck with those too. But Tootsie Pops, Tootsie Rolls, I mean. Tootsie Rolls they're an A tier candy. I mean, I got their fucking Pops and S, so they're definitely A tier. I like Tootsie Pop. Tootsie Rolls are underrated for sure. Another underrated candy that I have high A tier above Sour Patch Kids is fucking Nerds. I fucking love Nerds. Now they have this new shit that has like a jelly fucking like a jelly bean center thing with like Nerds attached to it and shit. Those things are fucking clutch. I fuck with those. So Nerds are definitely top A tier for sure. I fuck with those. I like those more than Sour Patch Kids. Oh, I just realized that we don't have Tic Tacs on here. But I fuck with them. They're A tier. I buy them all the time. That's how I buy the orange ones. A trick I've learned: after you brush your teeth, that mint flavor. If you eat like 4 or 5 of those like orange Tic Tacs, it doesn't really. They don't like clash really with the fucking toothpaste. So they're like, it makes it easier to eat stuff sooner. I don't know. I mean, I've been eating those, like just popping like 5 of those, and then I can have like an energy drink in like a half an hour or so after I brush my teeth. So I've been doing that. It works for me. If you fuck with the orange Tic Tacs and you don't use that trick, that's something you have in your bag now. It's in your toolbox. Take it or leave it. I don't know. But Tic Tacs aren't on here, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna put top of A tier above Nerds though. I'm going with fucking Starburst. Starbursts are pretty banging. Starburst is another one. It's kind of like a lifesaver thing, where there's a lot of copycat like soft candies or whatever, but Starburst has their own shit, and like, yeah, it's their own shit. It's their shit is signature. You know when you're fucking with a Starburst piece of candy, and they're top of A tier for sure. I would fuck with them over Nerds. I'd fuck with them over all the stuff on this list right now. But above Starburst, I think I would fuck with Three Musketeers. I love fucking Three Musketeers. They're pretty bland. Yeah, Three Musketeers, chocolate bar. I love chocolate. And the nougat, marshmallowy, whatever the fuck it is, center is like, it's simple, but it is banging. They do it very well. It's very, very good. It's very like fluffy. Above Skittles, I'd put Twix B tier. Twix are banging. I love the caramel. I love the chocolate. I'm not so crazy about the cookie part. It's good. It's It's just not perfect. It's not the perfect combination. It's just slightly off. Like, it's really fucking good, but there's just something that's like, man, it would be better if maybe the cookie wasn't so dry, or there's just something that's just a touch off that puts Twix in B tier. But it's still top of B tier. I'd fuck with Twix over Skittles and all this shit for sure. I would just fuck with Ring Pops over Twix. That's all. I feel like the cookie center is the difference, really. Classic candy. And I don't have. There's no other representative of this type of candy on this list, actually, other than Blow Pops in a weird way. But I would put Bazooka. I'd put Bazooka Gum bottom B tier. Nostalgia, oh my god, who hasn't fucked with Bazooka Gum and the little comics? I mean, it had like the little dusty, little sugary dusting thing or whatever that was like on it. Like, there's nothing more classic than Bazooka Gum. It's like the first candy ever, I think, that was like mass produced. It's like classic. And it is, I'd fuck with York Peppermint Patties over it because I don't really fuck with gum like that. I don't really see gum as like a candy. It's more like a breath freshener. Like, that's what I chew gum for. So Bazooka, I'm putting it under York Peppermint Patty, but it's the best classic, other than like the Hot Balls. I guess the Hot Balls are a little more they're in the same vein, but for like gum, the only gum on the list, bottom B tier. Let's throw these fuckers on the list. Pez are just classic, nostalgic. I mean, they have a gimmick. You get the little fucking toy along with them, which are just fucking classic. I mean, who the person who said, hey, we need candy that is also a toy, is just brilliant. The brilliance of it. And they're just so collectible, and they're just so classic. And Pez dispensers, everyone has their favorite Pez. But the candy's not that great. I'm gonna rank these more on the candy than like the whole vibe Pez is. Pez is classic. But I would fuck with Mounds or whatever. I think Mounds are more are better than Pez. But Pez are still classic. I'd still fuck with them. No doubt about it. I'm putting Smarties. I'm putting Smarties right here. Smarties is one of those things. It's kind of like the candy corn thing, where they're just so abundant. They're like but they're good. Although too many of those motherfuckers, and you'll be like, can't breathe. You'll need some water and shit. Those fuckers, you'll start choking on those fucking things. But Smarties are pretty banging. I'd fuck with those over Pop Rocks. Those things, and just because there's a ton of them doesn't mean they're not better. I mean, come on, people. Smarties are pretty good. They're top of C tier. But I think Fun Dip is a little more fun. It's got a little more fun vibe. So that gives it the edge over Smarties. I'm putting Dots over Bazooka Joe. Dots is kind of like, they're kind of classic. They're a little like gumdroppy, but I feel like they just feel like they're done better. I don't know. Maybe because of the size difference. The flavors are better, and it doesn't have like the dusting of sugar. I feel like they're just kind of on their own, so it's a little more like simple. It's hard to describe, but I prefer Dots over the gumdrops, and it might just because of the flavors. But I like Dots over Bazooka Joe. But I still think I would fuck with York Peppermint Patty. Would you though? I feel like I would fuck with dots before I'd fucked with pork. Yeah. I like that better. Because I like the chocolate bar better aspect in the Heath bar. But I think dots are better than York peppermint patties. Yeah, I can live with that. I can live with that. Speaking of classics, these are kind of like in the same vein of the Smarties and the fucking candy corn. You have jelly beans. Jelly beans are better than peppermint patties. Jelly beans are, because of the variety and the harder like shell, I'm gonna put jelly beans over dots because of like the hard casing and then the fucking the variety. I mean, the fucking jelly bean flavors are fucking unlimited. Dots, they kind of got like a limit on what you're gonna get from them. And there's just so many different companies that make jelly beans, so it's like just such a wide variety. I'd put those over dots. Right? Yeah. Okay. Top of C, I'm going fucking Airheads. Airheads are banging. They're pretty good. They're pretty good. But they're kind of hard to fucking eat. You know what I mean? They're kind of like a Jolly Rancher, but like they're just inconvenient. Like you gotta hold them. Like that hard candy thing. Like because they have like Jolly Ranchers that are the same kind of thing. They're just long like that. And you try to put the whole fucking thing in your mouth and you have to break it in half and shit. So they're kind of inconvenient. But like if there was like slimmer, I feel like they can't make like, because it's like shards of candy. Like Jolly Ranchers have to be like rectangular, like square, like just like a flat, like shards. If like you cut like the Airheads vertically, you can't really have that in a bag because it's like just shards of candy. But that would be better that would make Airheads better, but dangerous. If that makes sense. But we put them top of C, right? Another underrated candy bar that I think goes mid A tier is Baby Ruth. Baby Ruth has got like the sweet and salty thing down, and it's caramel, baby. It's caramel, but the peanuts are a little much. That's the only thing. The peanuts are a little much. It's so good, but the peanuts are just a touch too much, which is why they're just below Whoppers, if you ask me. Kit Kats. Kit Kats are fucking legit. Kit Kats are awesome. The wafers, I mean, they kind of do like they do the Twix thing, kinda. I mean, if they had like, maybe wafers would help the Twix. But I mean, I like the chocolate, the creamy chocolate peanut butter instead of like caramel in a Kit Kat. I don't know how that would work instead. But Kit Kats are S tier, for sure. Just because, and then they have, you know what I mean, there's fun, the controversy over how to eat them. I mean, they are fun to eat. So Kit Kats are S tier, I think. Nostalgia factor, but they're kind of like a tease, are like the bank lollipop things. Like they're good, but they're just so fucking small. I mean, they're better than Pez. Pez are small, but they're like abundant in a way. They're just not as flavorful as like these lollipops. I would fuck with them, but I would rather eat a fucking candy bar than having to eat like 3 of these goddamn suckers to be satisfied. But they're good. They're nostalgic. I'm just gonna put them under the Mounds and the Almond Joy. That's just how I see it. Above Airheads, I'm gonna put the fucking Mike and Ike's. They're good. Nothing special. I feel like they're pretty classic. They're flavorful. They're good, fruity. I like them. I like them better than I like the white and purple like licorice ones. So that kind of amplifies how much I like them by how less I like those. If you catch my drift. So Mike and Ike's, they're top C for sure. Where the fuck would you put M&M's on your tier list? They gotta go above fucking. They gotta go above Hershey bars, don't they? M&M's? Yeah, they do. M&M's are legit. Plus, they got so many different variations. But just even the classic chocolate hard-covered shell. Oh my god, M&M's are S tier all day. The only thing right now, as far as like pieces, candy like candy covered like chocolate or caramel or anything that I would put over M&M's, so Reese's Pieces. Reese's Pieces with the peanut butter is just a little bit better. It's banging. It's legit. We're getting down to it, man. I don't know how long this video is right now. It feels like it's fucking long as hell. But we're down to 5 fucking candies. And I'm kind of like not sure how I want to put them up here. Reese's Pieces are banging, but Reese's Cups are better. They're awesome. And they have and they're another one that's copied like tons. There's fucking these things, how people get away with just remaking their shit is unbelievable. But like Reese Cups are legit. I love the fucking mini ones. Oh my god, the 1 bite ones. Jesus Christ, whoever fucking invented those things, god damn you, sir. But let's stay in the chocolate category and say these fucking Aldi things. They're alright. But they're going behind bazookas. And then behind them we're fucking putting these orange slice things. They're pretty good. But they're like better than, just because they're orange, I feel like they're better than the gumdrops. And they're not quite as good as the dots as far as like the gummy kind of candy. Now we're down to 2, baby. So let's just throw up number 2, which is the 100 grand bar, man. Oh my god, the 100 grand bar is so underrated. Such a good candy. It's a combination of like, you got your caramel and your chocolate, and then you got like the crunch malt stuff like sprinkled on. Oh my god, the 100 grand bar is amazing. It's right there, right under Milky Way. Whoops. Right under the Milky Way. Milky Way. Milky Way is the best candy bar. My love for fucking caramel. Oh my god. I love the Milky Way. I like the regular Milky Way. I like the fucking chocolate, or the dark midnight chocolate one is so good too. Milky Way, the caramel, caramel, whatever you want to call it, is just, it's bliss. I love that shit. It's my favorite candy bar. If I'm in the vibe for buying candy, I mean, I'll kind of go away from it just to get other stuff. But man, none of it ever lives up to just fucking taking a bite out of a fucking Milky Way. Like, the combination is just amazing. The only thing that's kind of shitty is I always get like that fucking dollop of caramel on my chin. But small price to pay. Milky Way, best candy bar going. Fight me. What are you gonna do about it? Later.